YouTube. By the way, I had a background on data science and software engineering even before I joined ALX. So in case you want to find some reference on data science or software engineering, by there, let me take this opportunity to market my channel. So you can always, I'll upload it here, nametech. I'll upload this video here, but I remember it will be for some days, and then I'll pull down because I think Alex has some restriction. But you can see in this channel, I usually provide tech content. So this one was for software development to develop application. But when you scroll down, you can see I have machine learning, I have Python courses, R programming, matplotlib. And in this data science course, it will reach a point where we shall learn about the R, matplotlib, scipy, pandas, numpy. This is Python and MySQL also. I have many courses here. There are many courses here. So I had some background. So in case you need something, you can as well you can subscribe to this YouTube. But now for today, we are going to tackle that part for, most people reached out and were inquiring about how to install the Anaconda environment and also how to use a Jupyter notebook to query the database. So I'm going to show you how you can install Anaconda. So Anaconda is usually a data science program or a data science software that has all the packages for data science and also machine learning and artificial intelligence. So you don't need to install them externally once you have the Anaconda environment. So it's more efficient for those who are doing data science or those who want to venture into machine learning, artificial intelligence. So it usually comes with the modules you don't have to install. Remember, if you don't use it, you'll have all the time to install the modules here with the PIP to install it into your operating system. But when you use Anaconda, it will usually come with those packages pre-installed. Like very soon, now when we are done with SQL, we shall also learn about Python and other modules for Python like pandas, numpy, matplotlib. So all those packages they are always found in that Anaconda environment, including the GUI compiler. Sometimes for visualization with the matplotlib, you need those GUI compilers. So that's why the ALX team recommend us to use Anaconda. It usually comes with many modules necessary for data science and machine learning. So you can just go to your browser and then search for Anaconda. Anaconda. Just search Anaconda, and then get the link where you can download. Free download is here. Or alternative, you can just click there and then navigate with the tabs there with the pages there. You can find a page where it has the download. But here you can see there's this option to download, free download here. So when you click on it, then it takes you to this download page, and then you can download for your operating system. You can see it's supported on Windows. Like for me, I'm using the Windows operating system. Also on iMac, it's also supported, and also on Linux operating system. Yeah, so to install it, you can just download it here. Remember, for me, I had already downloaded before I began this. Before I joined here. So for the interest of time, so let me just open it. By the way, before I proceed, are we together? Are we together up to this point? You can just unmute and speak.
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you so much. So you just click on this button to download, then it will.
Excuse me, Nama.
Yes, please.
I think if anyone has a comment or question, they can put it on the chat box. I'll be looking out and then I can alert you. And for those who are able to follow along,
yes.
Thank you.
All right. And I encourage you to ask a question. I don't want it to be like a lecture, like I'm speaking just to my computer. Let it be interactive because it's like a discussion. So in case you have any question, just put it there on the comment, and then Eve will let me know. So when you click on this button, like for me, it has detected it is Windows. That's why you can see it has the logo for Windows. But if yours is iMac, you can use this other one, or a Linux. If you're using Ubuntu operating system, you can use the other one. So it's here. And the downloads, so let me just install it. Once you've downloaded, you have to install it. So I'll give it some seconds. Then I just click on next. Then you have to agree to this. You can choose to read this stuff, but I think there's no harm there. You can just click on I agree. Then I proceed. Then you can use this one just for me. Then you click on next. Then at the path, I think you can just leave it by default. And these are the one that it will select. Just leave it there, or alternative you can choose wherever you want to place that anaconda, but ensure that it's at the C drive. It's at the C drive. And then I don't know, directory scene it's not empty. Please choose a different location. So remember, for me, I had already downloaded earlier. Alternatively, let me just take this time to delete that folder. I use then anaconda. Let me just find that folder.
Nehemiah, as you're looking for the folder, David says that his installation process has been going on for hours.
Yes,
He's asking what could be the problem.
The installation process.
David, are you able to unmute?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I followed everything, the process, everything, and I got it. I got it to that installation spot, and it's been going on for hours. I don't know what could be the problem.
The installation doesn't finish, or I can't hear you well. When you...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I followed the process, right, and the entire Google thing and download, but then for installation,
Yes.
It just doesn't go. It doesn't go through. I don't know why.
Do you have enough storage on your system?
Yeah, the storage is enough.
You can try to perhaps uninstall and then change. Perhaps you ensure that it is at the C drive, and the C drive,
C
and
drive.
then yes.
Okay. What's that?
The C drive. This is the drive where it has the operating system. And
Okay.
if you're using Windows, ensure that it is at this drive. This C drive.
C drive. Okay.
Yes, the one that carries the OS and other
Okay.
programs.
Because I thought the issue could be the fact that I initially had it installed.
Oh yeah. So I think you have to uninstall. Then, or if you had it installed, you can just use that one which you had already installed.
So the problem that I wasn't able to create an environment that I think it was outdated or something. So I was trying to install it or to be updated. And in the process of downloading, I even tried to delete the version, but then this is the problem that I'm having right now.
Yes, I think you have to delete the other version, then reinstall the latest version.
That is as well, but that's still the same issue.
The same issue.
Yeah.
Let's try to install this one. Perhaps also it might be the same on my end. Let's try to see until it finishes. It finishes, and then I will see if it will work or
Okay.
not.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah. So here you'll select the path, and then you can choose to add start menu shortcut. And so for me, I don't need this one. Or let me just click on it, and then this last one. Then you can click on the install. Now, when you uninstall the other version, you have to reboot the computer first of all for changes to take place very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you start that, it's been 3-4 hours.
Though your microphone is breaking, I can hardly hear you. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
And though it reaches a point where you break when you speak.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
What I'm saying is this where my laptop is stuck. It's not even moving. It's been like that for hours.
Your computer is not that thing is not running. These.
It's not. It got to a point like right now, and it's been stuck there for hours.
Wow. Perhaps you can text me when we are done with this session. I'll try to help you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the installation is just straightforward. I just accept everything. You just click on next until you reach the end. So I think let me just give it some. Don't know how long it will take.
I see Kevin a lot. He's saying that he gives it time. He
Yes.
says he's also did
Yes.
that way, but he had to upgrade his PC.
Yes.
David's hand is up. You can talk. You can unmute and talk.
What do you have to your upgrade my PC for that?
No, I'm saying what Kevin responded to that. He says he had the same issue. He's just suggesting you wait.
Okay, so I'm trying to ask what he means by upgrading my PC.
Kevin, if you can hear David's question, maybe you can respond in the chat box and then David will be able to see it.
It takes forever. As it continue, also you need to have I'm assuming that you have some background on MySQL, because I think this was for last week. I think you did the assignment. You have some backgrounds on MySQL. So as it continues, perhaps I can try to talk about something here. Let me launch this workbench. Yeah, so I think you guys are familiar with the MySQL workbench. I believe if you can confirm on the if they can you can if people can respond on the chat box, and then let me know if people are familiar with the MySQL workbench. Does anyone have a question on my SQL workbench? I want to talk about something here. I wait for this other one to finish. The installation, how to set up everything, set up connection. If there's no question, let me try to use here another one. Let me create here a new connection. I'll click on that one, and then let me give it test. Let me give it something like test, just test or a discussion. A discussion, and then you ensure that the connection method is standard TCP IP, and then the host name. Perhaps let me talk about this host name, because you saw on the if you went through the modules, there was a part on the connection where you saw localhost, and then you can see here the host name is this 127.0.0.1. So perhaps as I wait for that one to finish, let me talk about this networking here. These are IP address here in a few, as we wait for that to take place. So basically these are networking. This networking, or this port number is a 16-bit unsigned integer. It ranges from 0 to around 65,000. So port numbers are used. These are port numbers. So remember, this one is the alias for localhost. This is the alias for localhost, the IP address. Now we use localhost like is the alias for this. Sometimes it might have, I said that it contains a lot of numbers, like there are 4 numbers like 127. Then here, because it is localhost, it is 0. But if it were a real instance, it could be a long number. So to master it, it is difficult. So that's why we use the names which are readable, like for example localhost. For example, if you have a domain like nametech.com, it will be an alias for a particular IP address. So a particular IP address is unique, pointing to just a particular instance. For example, for those who have a background on AWS, so when you upload an instance on AWS, they'll give you you'll get an a unique IP address for that instance. So you can appoint a domain name to that IP address so that you can access that content easily. So this 127.0.0.1, this is the alias for the one local. This one is localhost, the alias for 127 is the other name. This 127.0.0.1 is just the same as localhost, the alias. Just the other definition, the other like you can have a nickname, your name, but you have a nickname, but they both refers to you. So this 127.0.0.1 is the same as localhost, or a localhost is the alias for this one. Then these are port numbers, as I said, and these are used to specify distinct endpoints or a connection, or the endpoints, I think is the better word, for communication in a network. So allowing data to be directed to the correct application, So this that 306 most of the time is used for. This one is commonly associated with MySQL database access, but we have other ones like 80. So 80 is typically used for HTTP web traffic or a protocol. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and this one is very essential. For example, if you have a background on backend development, so this for example, you have a link, or you have a website. So someone clicks on a link. So when they click on the link it will be triggered. It will be triggered. Then it will send a request to the server. Then a backend language or a server-side language, like for example Django or a Node, it will receive that request. Then it will look for a particular template or a particular resource that you requested. For example, you clicked on a link to access, for example, the contact page. Then it will find that resource related to the contact page. Then it will return it as a response, and that is HTTP. Now, when it has an S at the end, it means it has a secure extension, HTTPS. It means that it has a secure extension. So that means that that process of a person sending or a client sending a request to the server, and then a server returning the response. Now that connection, that communication, when it has an S, when let me do this, let me just try to show you a real one. So like this anaconda here, you can see it has a padlock here. It means that it has a secure connection. When you click on it, you can see the connection here is secured. When you click on it, let me just how can I let me copy and try to paste it somewhere. Yeah. So you can see here at the end it has an S. It has an S. So if it could not have an S here at the end, it might mean that that connection is not secure. But when it has the S here at the end, it means that it has a secure extension. Now the IP address, this is like this is anaconda.com. This is an alias for a particular IP address. So just like a local host, you saw in the modules, the connection was a local host instead of that one to 127.0.0.1. So this one is just the alias name. The DNS, I think I don't know if they'll teach about DNS in this program, but that is part of networking in the web part. So it is finished. Let me try to finish this part, and then so the username, this is the root, and then you can just click on test connection, and then for me I used 127 because I knew I'm going to present here, so I used a very simple password 1234567 8. Now I see that these are hostname or these IP address, they are unique when they are published on the internet. Remember, we are using now the local environment. That's why on your end it will be 127.0.1, and the other person will also be 127.0.0.1 because now the server or the environment is just the local host. But if it were online on the internet, the IP address, it will be unique. It won't be this 127.0.1. Remember, the port number can be the same because they point on a particular instance. Like we have a lot of ports. You can specify even, you can change even for this MySQL, but by default, that 33.06, that one is commonly associated with MySQL database access. And then we have, for example, if you have 80, if it were, let me first of all, if it were something like 80 here, the port number, if it were 80, by default, it will mean that it is HTTP protocol. Now for HTTPS, it will be 443 by default. And then 22 is for those who are using the SSH key. For those who want to access, for example, instances in the AWS using the SSH key. So mostly it will be 22. So there are thousands or many different type of port number associated with particular instances. But now for MySQL Workbench, it is always 33.06. Remember, you can as well change. Now my password, I think I changed here. My password I changed. I don't know. Yeah. It's not working. So let me first of all try to launch this project. So I'll click on next, and then next again. Then we don't want this documentation here. Let me just launch Anaconda Navigator. Let me launch Anaconda Navigator. And then if you don't have this database, I think someone can send on the group. I think you has access to it. Let me drop this schema and then I show you how you can run that database. Remember that Jupyter Notebook works with this MySQL Workbench, so it pulls the data from this other side. Remember MySQL, this is like MySQL Workbench. This is like the main notebook or a notebook for or a IDE for MySQL. MySQL, that is the database management system that we are using for this SQL project. So you have to ensure that you have a database here running with the tables, with everything okay, and before you even connect to this Anaconda environment, even before you launch this Anaconda. Remember, I've just opened it, but if you want to open it in future, it is Anaconda. It is Anaconda Navigator. This thing, Anaconda Navigator. So this is the Anaconda Navigator, and before I get there, let me finish what I was doing here. So once you have access to that database, you can click on this SQL. This second tab here, and then when you click on it, it will direct you to your file explorer. Let me go to the download. So here it is. I've just downloaded specifically for this session. Then so I have it here. So if you want to run it and I have it on this system, you can just click on this execute. It will execute everything. And then if you open a different tab, let me minimize close this other. And then for example, let's say show is it tables? Show tables from this database. So first of all, let me refresh here, and then you can see it is here. So show table from this database. Then when you run, wait, the command is not correct. Show tables. What is the problem here? So this is what can be the problem here? Show tables. But alternatively, you can confirm with this GUI. But I think there's a problem here. Show tables. There's a problem here. We'll revert to it later. And then so you can see it is here. Access to basic water table. And then inside it we have columns, region, subregion, and all that information. So what I'll do, let me show you now how you can create an environment. So remember, like for example, if you install a program in the system, it will affect many things. So for example, if you have, for example, a project running on you have a project, but then before I talked about the IP address and the ports. I didn't illustrate very well. Let me try to just 1 minute. Let me just try to open a project here, and then I'll show you. So let me use here a sample one. This is Django, a CMD, just to show you how port numbers can point to different instances, but the IP address can be the same. So let me use here, I'm using Visual Studio. I'll say code. Let me open. Yes, please.
On the workbench, what you are working on, Catherine is suggesting that you start with use United Nations.
Oh, use. Okay. So I start with use. Use. And then these are United Nations. Sorry. So it should be United Nations. And then next. That's why you say show name. What else?
The hyphen.
Hyphen.
Is it hyphen or ile comma? Ile nusu.
Oh, ikitu.
The semicolon.
The semicolon. This one.
Yes.
And then just like that.
Yeah, they say you run it.
And then you show tables.
Oh, show tables. Okay. Show tables. Oh. Wow. So basically we have just one one table here, and it's access to basic water, and it's here. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Now, I was talking about this. Let me just finish on this one. I think I've just opened Visual Studio Code. So let me try to run this one, and then we'll see that the IP address can be the same, but a port number can be different. So so here I'll say this is Django, so don't mind. I just want to illustrate that aspect of you know, a port number and IP address. So I think I'll cd to env, then script backslash delete. But I think this one is there's no need for that, because unless you guys are interested in that, I think that there's no need. I'm just wasting my time there. Now so I think we are good in these other ends. So you can see we have the United Nations database, and then I have one table access to basic service, and here you can as well use this GUI. Then you can see the tables and the columns and all that. So now on this Anaconda environment, so we need to create an environment. Remember, some modules, you don't want it to be like spread system wide. For example, if you install a particular version of Python, you don't want it to spread in the entire system. For instance, for example, for me, this project for Django, I used, for example, Python version something, and then I'm working on something else, and then I'm using a different version of that Python. And then it can have a clash. So this Anaconda provides us with a way on which you can work on a different environment on the same operating system. Remember, when you install something here, for example, let's say let me use a C. Let me install something system wide. Let me install something system wide. So we usually use a PIP. This is the package manager for Python modules. For those who are familiar with the Node, they usually use a Node package manager if you want to install the Node modules. So for Python, it's PIP. For example, install something like let's say IPython or a SQL Alchemy. Let me say something like SQL Alchemy. SQL, yeah, so it's fine. So you can see I haven't specified the version. Now when I run it, so it will install this as SQL Alchemy in the operating system to install the current version. So like for example, if I want to install a different version of that SQL Alchemy and that work on it, for example, this SQL Alchemy, this is our latest version. I was using it on a different project, and then the other project doesn't require that version of SQL Alchemy. So it can collide, but now with Anaconda environment, you can create a different environment and then you just install it on that environment. So here, you can click on this, you go to, by default, it's at the home. So you click on the, just a minute. So sorry for that. So you click on this create, then you can specify. Now this one, let me just call it Explorer ALX, Explore AI. And then so you can see now you can select, for instance, you can see now on my end, on the system wide, when I type, for example, Python version, when I run, Python version, you can see it is a 3.1 3.15. I think it's near the latest version. But now here, when I specify, for example, 3.10.3, 3.10.13, and then when I create this one, ensure that you're using this Python, not R, because this project is more for Python, because the modules that I will be installing, they'll be for Python, like IPython or PyMySQL and all that. They are always the Python module, so we'll be using Python there, the interpreter there. So let me give it some time so that it can create that environment with that Python 1.0. You will see that it won't affect the system. It won't affect the Python which is installed in the system. It's just additional so that you may also understand it in future. That is not related to what we were supposed to cover today. So you give it time until it download everything, install everything, and then yeah, so just a minute, it finishes. Yeah, so it's done. You can see it has installed other packages here by default. So you can see I selected Python 3.10 10 point something, but now you can see when I'll run this command again, you'll find out that the version it will be still the latest. You can see now Python 3.115. This is the latest version of Python. So you can see it doesn't affect your modules in the operating system. So this one just work on the on the environment environment. So because we are going to work with the SQL, we need to install a SQL Alchemy. Like for example, this Anaconda is more on Python in the R. You saw that it had two options for R and Python. Now SQL is a different language. This SQL is a different language. So for example, Jupyter Notebook, if you want to use Jupyter Notebook, that one is more specifically for Python. But now if you want to use a different language, like for example SQL, then you have to use the magic commands. So the magic commands, it will help you when you use the magic commands. It can translate, or when you use the modules like for example SQL Alchemy, it will convert that SQL so that it can Jupyter can interpret that data command. For example, the one that you are running is a SQL, because by default it is it is a Python, so it won't recognize SQL. When you run those SQL command there, it won't execute, because these are notebooks. They are more for R and Python. So you have to use the SQL magic commands. So now the language or the package for those magic command, it is SQL Alchemy. So you can see when you just search here SQL Alchemy, you might not find it, because now the selection here is the installed. So you have to change it. Just a minute. So sorry guys for that. So I think we are to get together up to this point. Can someone confirm with me, please?
Yes, we are together.
Okay, so Thank you so much for that. Now, so I see that you can see now when you search, for example, SQL Alchemy, it won't show up here because now the selection here, it is installed. So it will only display the installed packages here. So you have to ensure that it is all selected, so that SQL Alchemy, and then so here you can see there's a typo somewhere. So SQL Alchemy, here it is. So when you search SQL, the spelling I guess Alchemy. Is it Alchemy or SQL Alchemy? Alchemy should be L somewhere. SQL Alchemy, yeah. SQL Alchemy. So you can see it's here now. When you use now, these are installed. When you are they installed, it won't display. So ensure that the selection is all, so that it may display all the packages when you search here. So you ensure that this one is checked, and then I click on apply. Now, before I could do that, I could also install other modules like PyMySQL, so that it may be able to connect with MySQL Workbench here. So let me apply, or let me first of all, because it can take some time, let me install everything at a go. So this one is selected, then I can as well select the other one like PyMySQL. So I can as well select this one. I can select this one so that I can install both packages just at a go. Because when you install a single independent item, it can also take some time. But so these are the main program that you are going to use. Of course, there's also another one. Remember, there's a SQL Alchemy. By default, it will install the latest version, and of which it cannot work on Jupyter Notebook or on that program. So we can as well specify it on the notebook itself. We can as well install the latest version there on the notebook. So let me just apply, and then we shall go straight away to the notebook, Jupyter Notebook. And by there, we have to also install the Jupyter Notebook. I don't know if it will be installed by default, but you have to install Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter, let me confirm if it's installed. Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook is not installed. There are many versions of Jupyter. Let me search Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook. If it doesn't show up here, you can go to the home. You go to the home, but now you ensure that here the selection is your current environment, and then you can just scroll down until you find Jupyter Notebook. I guess should be here. Yeah, here it is. So you can install on this other end. If the other side it fails, you can install on this other one. So we are going to use this notebook here. Sorry, I think my computer is so slow. That's why it takes forever to install these things. And in case you have a question, just ask. I don't know why my computer is taking forever. Oh, I think it is installed. Not yet. So it is installed. Let me launch it. You can launch it on this other end, but if you are unsure, I don't know why the background there. I'm so sorry for that. Yes. So ensure that the environment where you have installed those modules is open, is selected here. If you are unsure, just go to the environment, then ensure that this is selected. Then you can click on this run button, this play button. Then you can open with the Jupyter Notebook. So let me again wait forever for it to open. Yeah, so it's open. Then on this Explore AI, you can find that modules. For example, these are notebooks is IDE. Let me just access one. I don't know why I have to log in again. Which part was it? Querying in SQL in production, and then it was which notebooks? Yeah. Let me download these are Jupyter Notebook. Not really. SQL in production, querying notebook, installing this walkthrough. I don't know. I want to access that part for Jupyter Notebook. Select here it is. So you can find one and I use it for practice. Let me just use this one. Now I think by default most of the time it won't run. It is at the downloads, and then this one. Yeah, so now I say that I will use the we use a SQL Alchemy now to use it as a magic commands for a SQL. Remember by default this Jupyter Notebook is an IDE or the notebook for Python most of the time. So when you run this cell, Jupyter won't. If you just run something like let me create a new cell here, and then for example let me say print something like let's say let me print a string here like hello hello there. So
Excuse me, Mama.
yes please.
Lazarus is suggesting we start from 7.2. I don't know how many are in agreement with that.
To start at
7.2.
or 7.2.
Lazarus is suggesting that.
Okay, basically we can go there, but I just want to show people how they can connect these to establish connections here. Then I think we can we can go to that part, to that module. Yeah, just to show people how to establish connection here, and then I think 7 point something 7. Oh, it's saying 7.2 is now this one is a walkthrough, I guess. 7.2 was it 7.2 or because I think this one is a walkthrough. It's not a notebook.
Lazarus, are you able to unmute and talk? Okay, because he's saying connect, start from 7.2, connect with Workbench.
7.2 or?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, there was that part which we were to do SQL underscore xt something, then you later on connect with was it 7.2 or 6 point something, where we were to insert password of
Yeah.
SQL Workbench and connect with the United Nations something.
Yeah, that's the first. This is the document that we are using. Remember the other one? These are just walkthrough. These are videos. So this is the first notebook. I guess you are talking about this one to establish connection between this notebook and MySQL Workbench, right? Because I see this is the first. That notebook to establish connection, just to set up connection between this Jupyter notebook and the MySQL Workbench.
Someone else has a problem. They say they were unable to connect.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why we are here at this part. I want to show you. I see that by default, this Jupyter notebook is for Python. That's why we use that SQL Alchemy that's why we use that SQL Alchemy to install it so that we may work with the magic commands. So the magic commands, they usually begin with this percentage, so percentage. And if you want to use it on subsequent notebooks, you have to define it here at the top with 2%. So I know this one won't run. Like first of all, you have to run this command here. Let me delete this here so that it may not confuse someone. So you must first of all run this one to ensure that you have to load this to activate the SQL extension, and also to allow us to execute the SQL in this notebook. So you have to run this one. And then I know, so here on this connection, sorry, load and activate the SQL extension to allow this. So if you get an error, make sure that MySQL and PyMySQL are installed correctly. So you have to ensure that you have MySQL, of which we installed in this before we use this Workbench. And then the other thing, you have to install this module PyMySQL. I'm not sure if we installed. Let me just try to confirm, because when you get that error, it means that it's not installed. Is it? Or you can as well install this other package called I. Let's first of all install that PyMySQL. Yeah, PyMySQL is installed, and then so the driver is fine, and then IPython. Also, you need to have this IPython. And then let's try to restart the kernel. Yeah, so you can see now the error is no longer available here. And this one, we just run it once. So when I run it again, oh, there's an error still. IPython run magic log exists. So what I'll do, let me install it in the system wide. IPython. How many also encounter this error here? Or your errors is here. These are connection part. So first of all, this line must run for the other one to work. So let me just install it on the system wide. If it fails, just install it system wide. So just install it on this other end. Now we use the pip, the package manager for Python, to install these packages. So just install it system wide. So it is IPython, and then also we shall install the Python MySQL. So again, we shall use a pip and then py MySQL.
Excuse me, Nana.
Yes, please.
For someone who has not done this before, how do they get to the command prompts?
Oh, basically,
I think after someone said that they were unable to connect and reach to where we had reached,
yes.
there are several other people who have agreed with her that they were unable to connect. So I don't know
Yes.
what we can do, or you're going to continue, or
Let me. I can begin afresh
yeah.
if there's some difficulties. So I think when you just launch Anaconda environment, it will be at the root. In fact, let me just use this root. Let me just use the root. The root. Let me just use the root. So the first thing, the Anaconda navigator is usually at this. It usually display this interface. It is by default at the home. It is by default and these are home, and these are home page. And then now, for instance, if you want to create another environment, you can use this environment tab. You can click on this environment tab, and then here you can create a new environment. Because I showed you earlier to create a new environment, because my computer will take forever, I just want to use this other one. These are root, these are base environment, these are root environment. And then so once it's selected, when it is selected, you'll see this button here, this button. And then so once it's selected, you can check your modules if they are installed. So first of all, you need to have the IPython, and then also for magic commands, you need to have you need to install the SQL Alchemy. Already let me just search for SQL Alchemy. SQL Alchemy, you can see it's already installed. SQL Alchemy like that, but it has just selected this one. And then now to establish connection between this Python. Remember I said that this is a Jupyter notebook. This is more for Python. So if I want to establish that connection between this environment and the workbench, you need also to have this PyMySQL, this one. So to install it, just click on this, just search here, you ensure that you are at the all. When it is installed, you can see it won't display here because it's not installed. So you ensure that all is checked, and then you click on this one, then you can apply, then it will install. It will install that Python. So to use a CMD or a command line tool, this one is not a must. This one is not a must. You can just install it on this other end. And that's why we say that Anaconda environment is very best. You'll not have to install these packages, manually. You can just, it usually comes with this in this environment. So just install it on this other end. But if you are not using the Anaconda environment, then this is where you can use the command line tool like git bash. You can use command prompt. You can use a PowerShell. You can use any other terminal. Also, this Anaconda has a terminal called Aconda, but I don't want to go into that. We said that Anaconda usually come with this module, so we'll just be installing on this other end. Now, if it fails, if you want to install it on the system wide, that's where you can use the terminal command line tool, like a command prompt, to install the packages. But this one, don't worry about this command line tool. Just let's stick to this Anaconda environment. And then sometimes it's good to arrange your folders very well so that you may have access to them quite easily. Like for me, I'll choose to select this one, copy this one, and then I'll place it in a particular directory so that I may have access to them quite easily. I don't know which folder also. It's key, not this one. Data science, yeah. Let me just place it here. It's already there. It's already there. Let me skip so that you may have access to them quite easily. And by the way, always ensure that the Jupyter notebook, for example, if you have something that but now that one I think is later. For example, if you were to use a particular file, for example, a CSV or something like that, you ensure that it's at the same directory. Otherwise, you have to define the path. But now that one is not for now. So once it has listed the packages to install here, you can just click on this apply. Then it will begin to install. So you don't have to worry about the command line tool. You don't have to worry about the command prompt. So this is something else. You can just use this Anaconda environment. That's why we say that Anaconda environment is very, very best for data science. You will not have to type that pip install something. So this one, when you want to install something, you can just search here. Then you'll see the package that you want. You won't have to use a pip. But now the problem is here, my computer will take forever. Let's give it a minute so that you can install this PyMySQL. So if you wanted to create a different environment, you can just click here, then you'll be able to create a new environment, then you can install those modules there. So we say that this PyMySQL, this one established the connection. This package help us to establish the connection between the notebook and this workbench. And then now the SQL Alchemy now will help us to translate the SQL command so that it can be interpreted on the Jupyter notebook, because we say that a Jupyter notebook, this one works well on Python, or R. But if you want to use a different language, like let's say SQL, then you'll have to use the magic commands, and that's why the SQL Alchemy will help us to convert that command. For example, if it were SQL commands, so that Jupyter can interpret it and output something for us there at the notebook. I don't know why it will take forever. I'm not sure if I installed that SQL Alchemy, because it will also take forever. SQL Alchemy should be Alchemy. SQL Alchemy, yeah. Alternatively, you can use the notebook to install these packages. Whether you can use notebook, it will be much easier and faster to install it on the notebooks. But so this is the process to install these packages. Just waiting for it to install, to finish. Yeah, so it is installed. Then the other thing, you need to have the Jupyter notebook. I say that you can install it live on the home here, and then you can see This one is already installed. This is a Jupyter notebook. You can see it's already installed. Once it is installed, it will show the launch button. But if it was not installed, you will see this option to install. Or alternatively, to install it, you can use here. You can just search here, and then remember this Anaconda environment already has those packages. So when you just search here, for example, Jupyter notebook. This one is notebook. When you just search for notebook, then it will list for you that notebooks here to use. You can see here this a notebook. You can see it's already installed, so I won't have to install it again. So before I proceed, does anyone has a question here? So I believe there's no question. For the interest of time, let me show you now how you can launch. So to launch that Jupyter notebook, you can launch it via the home page. You can see this Jupyter notebook here. You can just click on this launch button, and then it will launch Jupyter notebook. Alternatively, if you are unsure about the environment of which you are launching the Jupyter notebook, you can go to the environment, then select the environment, then you click on this button. If it were the Explore AI, it could show that button here. But now because it's at the base root, it will display the root. You can also change the environment here from Explore AI, and then the application. So here it is displaying all the application. If you want to only display, for example, the list of installed modules, you can use here also to display only the installed packages here. But now the key thing, you have to install this. You have to launch Jupyter notebook here. Just click here, this run button. Then you can see this option open with Jupyter notebook. Now this one will only work if you have installed that Jupyter notebook. It will only display this Jupyter notebook if you install that Jupyter notebook. That's when you can see this option to open with the Jupyter notebook. So you just click on it, then it can take some time, and then it will open. So if you want to connect with this SQL MySQL Workbench, you have to use a Jupyter notebook. You don't use Colab, Google Colab, because that one works with the online stuff. So it has just opened this Jupyter notebook, and so these are my folders. These are the same folders which are on my operating system. They are the same folders here. So remember my project, I placed them at it was at the documents, data science, and then there's this option. These are file called select and where. Select and where.
So it's loading. Isaac is suggesting that you can install it on the notebook using pip install.
Yes.
User SQL alchemy, and then the 1.4.4.
Yes, exactly. So if by there you can see that on the Jupyter notebook, it is loading forever. So the best way to install it quickly, you can as well use that command on the Jupyter notebook. So now the first thing you have to now there's this. Let me use a different notebook here. Let me use a different notebook because I think that this one I had already worked with it. So. So let me use a download. I'm not sure if this is the exact environment here, so I'm not sure. If this is the same environment. So let me use that let me use that photo, that's not photo, that file here, the downloads, which is not edited here, this one. And then kuna mwenye kompyuta yake iko faster nini? A project. Yeah, by the way, someone suggested, so you can as well use the nini, you can as well use this Jupyter notebook to install those packages. But remember that the file that you use, the module that you use to install packages, it is a PIP to install the Python packages. So let me create here a new file and show you how you can as well install that file. So I'll say now I guess the problem here, I might not have my SQL installed on my system, but I'll get to that later if this error will persist. But we use the PIP. This is the Python package manager to install the Python modules, and you can as well install these packages on this Jupyter notebook itself. Other than running on the other side, you saw it takes forever. So you can just as well type it here on the Jupyter notebook, pip install. So when you say SQL Alchemy, I guess this is the spelling into the SQL Alchemy. This one by default it will install the latest version. So if you want to specify a particular version, you use this equal operator, and then you can specify, for example, if it's 1.4.4, then when you run, then it will install this version here. You use the run button, or you can use the shortcut shift enter. But let's use this run button, and then install this SQL Alchemy. This is SQL. I guess this is the spelling for SQL Alchemy. So invalid the requirement. So I guess is there a problem here? PIP installed. Let's begin with the exclamation and see if it will work. So ama mwenye alikuwa anajaribu kutuelezea saa zile ako na idea. Invalid requirement SQL Alchemy. Ama spelling ndio mbaya. Yes? Oh yeah, by the way. You have to use the two equal operator. Sorry, not one. Not one.
And remove the exclamation at the beginning.
Yeah, so it's already running. Let it finish, then I'll remove. If it won't work, then I'll remove and install once again. Alright, it's not running. Perhaps it's not running. Let me just rerun. You ensure first of all the cell is selected. So when it's selected, it will be green like that. That's when you can click on this run button. So let me give it some seconds so that it will install that SQL Alchemy, that version. As it download or install. So you can see here I was talking about the alias and such stuff. So you can see here we have the local host instead of that 127.0.0.1. When you see this remember this one shows the local host. This is the not local host. This is the is it the user or the, let me check here. Let me go to home, and then connection not here. So sorry. I want to confirm something here. Yeah, hostname. So hostname, you can as well use these local host or a 127 points. They are just the same. Then the port number, this is the port number which is defined here. And then the password, that's the password that you use to establish the when you use to set up this the root user or this user root root. Then so for me, my password, I think I just use a simple one here called nametech a simple password here. Remember, it's an open source, so you can see it also installed it on this other end. So before you do anything, first of all, you have to run this first line of code here, load underscore x SQL. But because I've just installed that stuff, I'll have to restart or to reboot this Jupyter notebook. So if it won't run, if it will have an error like this one, most likely you don't have the MySQL. Remember, for me, before I joined this session, I uninstalled some modules so that I can show you how to install. I don't know if I uninstalled this MySQL, but let me run. So if it will show the error here, then it will mean that I don't have this MySQL here.
Kevin, okay, sir, you can unmute and speak.
Just want to point out something.
Yes, please.
Then if it can help you so that maybe we move faster. If you go back to the environment,
Yes.
to the Jupyter environment, yes, try installing the IPython then hyphen SQL.
Oh yeah,
IPython. Yeah, that one. I think it will work after that.
IPython hyphen underscore or hyphen hyphen.
Not that one. Yes, Naiona
Yeah,
somewhere.
this one, exactly. Exactly, this is the one. So for me, I was just running IPython. It should have an extension of this SQL. So sorry for that.
Okay.
And thank you so much for this. Thank you so much. So it's IPython with the extension of SQL. But the error could not be MySQL because I can be able to run these commands here. So it means that MySQL is already installed. So I think that was the main issue. Let me just wait for it. Na by the way, afadhali inaonyesha hizo maera ndio at least tujue maybe shida ilikuwa wapi. Just ikikubali tu maybe hata watu wataelewa poa. But when it display the errors, we can all understand what is needed, what is not needed. So I think the main issue hapa itakuwa tu kuestablish hii connection juu hizi nini zingine zitakuwa tu same kama zenye tulikuwa tunafanya kwa MySQL workbench. For example, to display the table and all that. I think I can just try to work on this page, and then the rest I think they are just the same. Other pages, it will be just the similar as what we used here on MySQL. So in your list, you can the dependencies. Let me just write somewhere. Just realize that there are some things you need to install here. So let me create a cell. So it is Python SQL. And then the other thing is SQL Alchemy, and then this one will work well on this version 1.4.4, and then also you need to have PyMySQL. What else? And also you need to have MySQL Workbench. MySQL, you need to have MySQL, and then of course MySQL Workbench. Yeah, so I think you need to have these packages here. Yeah, PyMySQL. Yeah, here. So as I'm waiting for this one to finish, again to apply. So when you miss a particular program or a package, then everything won't work. Because you see here, even to run this one, it is an issue because we missed that file. I think the best way I could have installed it on this notebook, it could do it faster. But let's just wait for it because it's finishing. Remember when you install these packages on the notebook, it will be installed on that environment, on that particular environment, not on the entire system. So if you want to install it system-wide, you have to use things like command line tools to install it on the system. So this one will just apply on that environment where that Jupyter notebook is opened. I don't know what's the problem today. Well, finally it is installed. So you have to reboot. You have to reboot the kernel, and then let's once again try to run this first line of code. Let's run, and then let's wait for the errors. So if there's no error, then it will mean that everything is okay. So this file, you have to install this SQL Alchemy here, this version for it to work well. Let me install this one here. So I think you've listed somewhere the list of dependencies or the packages to use it. Because I want to remove this assay so that I may just let me just cut and paste hapa kwa nini hapa kwa chat. Sitaki mtu aseme ati nini haifanani na yake, nini yake haifanani na yangu. So I think yours is just like this. So the first thing, you just run this file once. Ukirun mara ingine italeta error hapo hivi. Let me try to run. You can see nini is already loaded. To reload, use this nini. So it's already we've already loaded. So the next thing now you have to establish, you have to feed in here the password. Remember the user is root. The user here is root. The user is root, and then so here hapa hivyo ubadilisha is by default is root. Then hapa hivi ndio you change the password, you give it your password, and then this 127 it is this host name. Sorry, it is the host name, and we talked about this this IP address. So host name, this 127.0.0.1 is the alias for local host. So this is what you add here. You add here hapa kwa host name. Then this is the port number. So the port number, it is this port here at the end. That's 306. So by default hiyo ndio inakuanga ya MySQL. And you can see it is here, and then at the database that is loaded here is the database that is loaded here, it is United Nations. India yenye load hapa. So you have to specify now these are United Nations, and then so once everything is okay, then you can click on this run button. Then you can see now the connection is successful. Ukipata error ujue nini, maybe uja install nini moja ama mbili nini hizo packages. So ensure that umeinstall hizi nini zenye nimeweka hapo kwa Google Meet for it to work. Sijui nimeweka wapi. Hizi za hapa hivi. Ensure that you have installed these packages. To install, you can use this Jupyter, this Anaconda environment. Just search here, then install. Select all, then apply. I think yours won't take forever like mine. I think my computer is not good. But alternatively, you can install it via the notebook. And I said when you want to install it via the notebook, you use the pip. Pip is the Python package manager. You can use it to install packages. You can use it to uninstall packages and all that. So so first of all, once you've installed everything, the first thing you have to load this file. Then now the next thing, you run this line of code. You ensure that it's selected. When it is selected, it will always underline it as a green. The active cell, it will be green. Then you click on the run, and then I will say that everything, just leave it by default. What you do is just change the password. We say that the local host is the alias for local the alias for 127.0.0.1. then the port number is specified there. You can change if you wish, and then the United Nations, this is the database name. And then when you run, when everything is okay, then you see the confirmation here that are connected. Then I wrote United Nations. Then now you can begin to run the queries here. So before I proceed, does anyone have a question here? Up to where we are? Kuna mtu ako na swali hapa kufikia penye tumefika? If there's no question, let's try to see if you can select something here. So hapo hivyo anasema to make a query, we add these are two what modulars. These are percentages. These are percent, and then to start all the cells. Create one open line. Then the query like below. Then let me read afresh. Let me read it well. To make a query, we add these are two modulars. These are percent SQL command to the start of a cell. So in each cell, if you want to use the magic commands, and I will say that the tool that help us is the SQL alchemy. So once you have that command, it will convert these are, these are my SQL. These are SQL commands. So it won't interpret unless you add these magic commands here. These are magic commands here at the top on the first line. Then you can now query your stuff. So for example, if I want to select, if I want to run this database to access it, remember the table itself, it was access to basic services. The table was access to basic services. So ensure that you use the exact name here. So you use the select query, the select all columns. So when you use this asterisk, it will mean that you are selecting all columns from this table. Access to basic services. And then now sometimes you might have millions of records, and when you run all of them, it might have an issue in your operating system, especially if you don't have a good computer like what I'm using here. Then it might have an issue. Your computer might crash. So you have to use this limit. And by the way, if you are working in large data set, always ensure that you first begin with this. You ensure that this command is added first before you even begin to write your query here at the top, so that you may not forget. So ensure that it is limit, so that you can limit the amount of record to display. So here we are limiting it to 5, and then you can see now it will only display 5 records here. So if it were 10, we could add here 10, then it will display 10 records here. And so that part, I think we are done. Then this exercise, let's just go through it just quickly. So use the select statement to display all the columns from the access basic table. So this will help us get a feel for the data we are working with. So the same command here. Remember, the first line of code is constant if you want to use it SQL on Jupyter Notebook. So this one must be there always. And then now here they are saying we use a limit of 100 records. So it will return 100 records. So let me remove the other one. So this one will display 100 records here at the bottom. And then you can see here 100 row. It gives you some statistics here at the top. You can see it has returned 100 row. If you scroll down, when you count, it can tell you how many rows are there. But you can see it gives you some snippet here, some statistics somewhere there at the top. And then now the next thing they say, the previous query may return a large number of rows, which could slow down our system. Modify the query to limit the number of rows to 10. So we just copy the same things. And then we shall limit to 10. I will limit to 10. That's what they said here. Then it will only return the 10 records here. And then unique country names. So extract a list of country names. So once again, let me copy these codes. I guess this thing you even know much better than me, because you have a background on MySQL. You do this thing on the MySQL workbench. So what we are doing, we are selecting extract a list of unique country names. unique country names. So here we will use what? We will use the distinct, right? By the way, let me ask someone to help us here. Nisifanye tu kila kitu. Mtu atupatie nini hapo hivi yenye tutaweza tumia commands. Remember, these are just similar to what we did here in the MySQL workbench. What is changing? We are just adding this as a magic command here at the top. Mtu anaweza tupatia command hapa hivi. Ndio sikuwa kama najiongelesha peke yangu hapa.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. It's that of selecting unique country names.
Yes.
So select distinct.
And distinct.
Country underscore name.
Country. It begins with a capital.
No, small letter C.
Small letter C. But then these are, for those who don't know, these are values we are obtaining here. If you open on the MySQL workbench, you'll find access to those columns here. You can just list, but then you can. The reason they say that we open these files here at the top. Let me just get it here. The reason they said we run first of all this query so that we may find the columns. So you can see, like for example, country name. You can use exact. You have to use the exact name, I guess. Let me copy that one, then I'll paste it here. So it is this way.
Yes.
So and then we just run it
from select distinct country name from access to basic water. You can include also United Nations access to basic waters, but yeah.
So you can explain as well to the people so that they may know what is United Nations.
Or United Nations it's the name of the database.
Okay. Yeah, so database name.
So you can include United Nations. Yeah, you can limit or you can remove the limit first. So you can see all the countries and then you limit it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now put the. Okay, it's all right. No, it's all right.
Okay.
Just. So those are the names. If you want to limit it to 10, you can now include the limit.
Yeah, the limit, yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone else for this other one. Nani za tufanyie tumalize haraka. Hizi ni vitu mlifanya already kwa nini? MySQL workbench. So just for the interest of time, just nifanye peke yangu sana. Ionekane kama ni lecture. Alafu nimewa mute. So someone else for this one? Or we can leave it here. I think the main thing was this connection, right? So I think ilikuwa the main issue. This part. Zile zingine si mnaweza mkajifanyia tu. Easy commands, we are just using the same as what we used on MySQL workbench. Kitu ina change tu ni ile tuna add nini hapa juu. Ni ile tuna add tu nini hapo juu hizo tunaona hizo commands ni same tu. For example select all from United Nations, that's the database, and then access to basics water services. Alafu for example nataka kulimit to 10, then you run. It is the same thing. It is the same thing that we are doing here on Jupyter notebook. Kitu ina change tu ni ile tunaweka hii this SQL here, this a magic command here. Hii magic command ndio hiyo ya SQL alchemy inasaidia sasa kutranslate the SQL commands so that hii Jupyter notebook it can interpret and output the results. If you don't use it, it will assume that it is Python code and then it will bring the errors. So I think hizi zingine mtu ataweza jifanyia Eve. Ama kuna mtu ako na question?
Let's see if there's anyone with a question or comment. Then maybe we can move on. What were you planning for tomorrow? The MCQ or something else?
I think it could be nice if you go to MCQ so that mtu asipitwe na deadline, tusaidia watu maybe kufanya hizo assignment.
Okay, any comments, guys? Questions? Anyone who's still stuck? And if yes, where?
Hey, Nama.
Yes, please.
What if tomorrow we'll just do the tourist and one?
Sauti yako isikiki poa.
Like tufanye hizo slide the project the past one.
Hivyo anasemaje?
Simsikii vizuri. Kevin?
Honestly?
What are you saying? Unasema?
Like maybe leo ama kesho tufanye hizo project. The slides one. Hizo 40 slides.
Or we go through them tomorrow?
Yeah, ama si bado kuna time, ama maybe 1 hour saa hii tuanze afu kesho tumalizie. Ziko mingi.
Okay, mtu mwingine, Mungai is suggesting we go through the Northwood database. Anyone else? Mungai, on the chat box, is suggesting we go through the Northwind database, the Northwind DB. I don't know if there's anyone else who has another comment. Guys, we need to hear from you so that Nehemiah will be able to.
Yeah, for me, Eve. Hi, Eve, Nehemiah.
Hi, David.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the first option. We run through the MCQs, and then we can create the time to go through the slides, just as Nehemiah had suggested.
Okay. So how many are for the MCQ?
Yeah, that will be better. Maybe at Sunday ama siku ingine tufanye project. So it's fine.
Okay, I see guys have responded to the chat box. Okay, yeah. We have 2 yeses and a few thumbs up. So
by the way, hizi ma slides, hizi ma nini zinaitwaje? These are notebooks hapa. Huko chini yake kuna solutions. So in case uko stuck kufanya hizi nini hapo, unaweza refer hapa hivi chini kuna answers. So for example, unataka kurun hizi nini ya distinct, ilikuwa wapi yenye tulikuwa na search ya kupata, ilikuwa number 2 ama number what? Number unique country name. Unaona ndio kuna hii nini hapa hivi already solution. You just run and then you can see it displays. So the other one was to select specific fields. You just run there, then it will do everything for you. This other one you just run in case you are stuck, then it will display everything for you there. This other one you just run, then it works. So the main thing is just the connection there at the top. So once the connection is okay, then everything else will just work. So I think this one you can do it as your personal assignment. Then in our next meetup, we shall talk about this integrated project and also do the assignment. We shall talk about this. We shall discuss this integrated this project part, because I guess time is not really much. Time is not. Yeah. So
tomorrow.
Yeah, I think tomorrow could be better. I don't know, sijui kama watu wanaenda nini hiyo ya nini nitwaje KCC.
Induction, si ndangapi by the
hadi sijui, but huko hivyo kuna kwanga na mashida mingi, unatunga laini na kumbukanga tukiendanga hiyo karibu ya kwanza. Tunga laini for around 1 hour nini, alafu mkae sana. Alafu pia tuko na project hapa. I think we could opt to do the project. So at least we have some content or not will be presented there. Do I guess hiyo senior nini, the next cohort, the new cohort, sindio?
Yeah, I think so. I was wondering why, because I didn't get the email. So tomorrow we're meeting again at 8. Is it okay? Or 8:30? How many are for 8?
Let's do 8.
Okay.
So in case you want the recording, nitazi-upload hapa hivi kwa nini. Hii nini yenye wanga na record nayo, I think iko na some limitation. Niliona ikifika some days ukijaribu ku access na nini, sijui nakwambia ulipia ama ufanye nini. But nimerekodi mara mbili, ingine nita upload kwa YouTube. So in case you need access, nitaiweka hapo kwa nini. Nitaweka unlisted so that watu wasione kwa public, itakuwa unlisted so that you can go through that. So nitatuma hii nini ya kwanza, these are recording. Kwani uko na recording ama nini?
Okay. Thank you so much, Nehemiah.
Okay, you're welcome. So you can take it.
So guys, we meet tomorrow again at 8. Nehemiah will share the link. Kindly, if you could download it and save it on your PCs before it's unavailable. Yeah. Thank you.